Thanks for coming to A Curious Mind 25. This is Jordan. I hope all my freedom-loving patriots are having a blessed day. If you would not mind, please like, comment, and subscribe. Today we have a crazy hearing, and that is sanctuary state governors and how they're handling this mess in regards to sanctuary cities and what they do for illegals instead of American citizens. Every single American should be pissed off by the expectations of these people, or no, not expectations of what they do for the American people. Instead, they're prioritizing illegals on a daily basis, giving them free everything off our taxpayer dime and give us nothing. Instead, they actually let illegals out on a daily basis who are criminals, who cannot be trusted, who shouldn't even be here to begin with, and give nothing to the American people, nothing that benefits us in regards to locking these criminals up or deporting them or putting the American people's interests first. Today, we're going to react to the best parts of the hearing. First, I'm going to react to two of what the Democrats said today. It's expected. They always just talk about Trump, they deflect, and they talk about nothing in regards to what they are there for, which is sanctuary city policies and what they are doing for these illegals instead of helping the American people out. So let's get it started. Please like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. Let's get it started, y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, some interesting theatrics today. Welcome, everyone, to the Oversight reality TV show. I know Mr. Trump loves himself some good TV, and today is not disappointing. And in fact, I want to say welcome to some of the members who've showed up to this committee who I've never seen here before. It's great to have you here in the hearing room with us. Now, before I get started on the topic at hand, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the immigrant community who might be watching and listening today. I want to say to everyone out there who is living in fear, we see you, we love you, we respect you, and we are fighting for you and every community that is being targeted by this administration and this Congress. We also want all of you out there to know that you have rights. You are protected by the law, and you should not have to live in fear and wonder whether or not you're going to be safe if you leave your home or if your family is going to come home at night. We see you. We are fighting for you. You have rights.
Wow. So, as usual, Democrats only speak in support of the illegals. They don't talk about the American people or how they're going to better our lives. They said, we see you and we got you. Pretty much as usual, confirming where they are on that side, which is for the illegal immigrant and the criminal, not the American taxpayer who can barely get by. This is infuriating. They always bring up Trump. They say it's a circus, yet they're the circus clowns that are running the show. Can't even stay on topic. Instead, they just talk about protecting these illegals who mostly are criminals if you check and see who's being arrested. Now, we got the one and almighty ghetto hood rat herself, Jasmine Crockett. And from the description of the video, it looks like she's going to bring up white supremacy as usual because she just is not smart enough to talk about policy or the actual substance of why they are there. According to her, breaking into the country illegally is not illegal. So let's see what ghetto hood rat has to say today this time around.
So do this because they love to cherry pick. They can find, any one person that has been killed. And if they've been killed by an immigrant, then God darn it, every single immigrant is going out and they are killers. And that is the problem. But they don't want to talk about white supremacy. I don't know how many hearings we going to have about the fact that there's been this one immigrant that killed this one person. And no, I'm not excusing any killings by them or white supremacists, but they haven't had these hearings. We didn't have a hearing on Buffalo and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on El Paso and what happened there. We didn't have a hearing on Charleston and what happened there. So it's interesting that they pick and choose because it seems like they love to pal around with the white supremacists. And so they don't want to talk about certain other things, but so do this.
This woman, it's amazing she is a representative of Congress. This woman is just too dumb to take serious. Every time I hear Jasmine Crockett come on and talk, I know it's about to be very stupid what she's about to say. Instead of talking about the illegals and the killers that are in this country, she talks about white supremacy. She says the conservative Republican Party, they associate with these white supremacists, yet never gives a single example of who are these white supremacists that we supposedly associate ourselves with. It makes no sense at all. Record minorities voted for Trump for change, and the Democrat Party is just they're digging their hole even deeper because they got nothing. They can't talk policy because policy sucks for them. They're for open borders. They're for protecting illegals while giving illegals free everything off of your hardworking taxpayer dime. And that's that. It's amazing some of these Democrat representatives that are elected. Like, this is the best. They are now saying these past few weeks that Jasmine Crockett and AOC are the future of the Democrat Party. I pray that they even make these two the highlight of their party, because if they do, oh man, Republicans, we're just going to keep on winning, and I'm here for it. Jasmine Crockett and AOC are two of the dumbest people ever to be an elected representative in our Congress or just in government altogether. So here is Governor Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, his opening statement, and then after that, we're going to react to what the Republicans actually had to say, because the Democrats, it's always the same: Trump, 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 white supremacy, everything's Trump fault. We take no criticism, and we don't accept that we've made mistakes because everything's Trump's fault. Let's hear what this clown has to say.
Governor Walz for his opening statement. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Lynch, and members of the committee.
Give me one example of how white supremacy associates with the Republican Party. I can give you a couple. Let's see. The Democrats were literally the party at the start of the KKK who fought to keep slavery, while it was the Republicans led by Abraham Lincoln who fought to end slavery. It was also the Democrats who opened up Planned Parenthood by Margaret Sanger, a racist Democrat KKK member, to kill minority babies. So again, how is it true what she said, clown? I'm waiting. I'll wait on that answer.
Committee. I'm proud to be here today as the governor of the great state of Minnesota. Wherever you go in this country, people tend to want the same basic things: safe neighborhoods, affordable household goods, meaningful work, good schools. That's what my administration has worked to ensure for our people, and that's what we've delivered. Under our leadership, Minnesota has been ranked the 4th best state to live in.
Real quick, this is the clown whose daughter gave the coordinates during the BLM riots of where the police officers were going to be. They literally worked with the criminals during the BLM riots. The famous picture and video during where the city was burning down wasn't Governor Tampon Tim's backyard of Minnesota. So you can continue to parade pretending like they're the best city and state, but no one's falling for it. You're a very small minority of sheeple, the Democrat Party that is, who still believe this nonsense. For example, this guy, Steve, he's just a clown. He's commenting saying, what is untrue about what Jasmine Crockett said? Well, I mean, they say the same things and they can never give evidence. I just gave you evidence of how the Democrats were the party of the slave owners and Planned Parenthood to kill minority babies. Their words, not mine. And you still can't give me a single example. So move on, sheeple. That will be the last time I respond to you.
The 2nd best state to raise a family in.
I don't need proof.
State for jobs.
Do your own diligence and look it up, lazy.
Level in over 3 decades, and we consistently have lower violent crime rates than the U.S. average. Now we have a broken immigration system in this country. I think everyone in this room agrees with that. But nothing Minnesota has done to serve its own people stands in the way of the federal government managing border security and policies. While you've convened this hearing to explore the issue of so-called sanctuary states, Minnesota is not even a sanctuary state. Minnesota legislature has passed no such bill making Minnesota a sanctuary state, and I have signed no such law. Minnesota cooperates with federal authorities in a number of ways. When there's a convicted felon in our prisons, we ask about their immigration status and share that information with the Department of Homeland Security. We also cooperate with Homeland Security requests when there's a judicial warrant and when due process has been afforded by our Constitution has been served. But enforcing immigration law is not the role of local and state governments. The fact is, Congress has given federal agencies the authority to enforce immigration laws across this country. That includes Minnesota, and I support them doing so. It's the federal government's job to secure the border. That's why when I was in Congress...
And they have. Border crossings are down by 96% in just a few months that Trump has actually been an elected representative of the President of the United States. Previously, it was the Democrats who said that we need to pass a bill in order to secure the border. Yet in that bill, there were, I believe it was 1 million people, what was it, a week, they were going to legalize to live in the states, not actually doing a a real background checks, just pretty much pushing them in while giving them free everything off our taxpayer dime. That was what happened. Also, I think it was $80 billion to Ukraine. So that wasn't even a bill that was going to secure the border. Trump did it with executive action. 0 bills passed, and now border crossings are down by 96%. So the Democrats, as usual, they lie about everything.
I visited the southern border and voted for bills that would have increased funding for Border Patrol, made it easier to hire qualified agents, and deployed advanced technologies to the border. Most importantly, I recognize that securing our border does not mean we sacrifice our constitutional values. Unfortunately, the cruel and misguided policies of this current administration fail to live up to those values. Minnesotans are angry with what they've seen happen to their neighbors. They're angry that the federal government has been snatching people up, putting them in prison, and deporting them without a shred of due process.
Yeah, you talk about due process. What about the millions of children that went missing under the last administration that were sexually trafficked, raped, and used for child labor, still up to today, that are being found by the Trump administration? You Democrats said nothing about it. You literally said nothing, while millions of kids were getting trafficked and raped across that border under the Biden-Kamala open border crisis, which led in 20 plus million illegals. Now, because we're deporting actual criminals, pedophiles, and illegals and sex traffickers, the Democrats are loud again, just like they were under Trump's first administration. But under Obama and the previous administration, they said 0.
There's been no notice, no meaningful opportunity to object, and according to the president, no way to get out of these overseas prisons once you end up there. And let's be clear, many of these are law-abiding Americans, people who have been granted asylum or promised protected status. In many cases, it seems these people were reported not based on a criminal behavior, but how they looked or what they've said and being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even U.S. citizens, like a 4-year-old boy with cancer, sent to Mexico, away from his father, away from the medical needs, to a country he was not born in or had never been to. Americans deserve a sensible, humane, and effective immigration policy that reduces illegal immigration while protecting fundamental rights. Meanwhile, the administration continues to make life worse for hardworking Americans in a lot of other ways, trying to slash Medicaid, Social Security, Medicare, making basic household goods more expensive, and telling people they just need to do more with less. The American people deserve better. You all have the power to legislate, to investigate this administration's abuse and overreach, and protect the American people. And I have to say, I'm disappointed. At a crucial inflection point in our nation's history, Congress is choosing to spend its time trying to cast blames on states like Minnesota that have no hand in creating this crisis. While we may disagree on the best way to maintain border security and public safety, I know we should all be able to agree on a few principles: that everyone in America deserves due process, and that we live in a free country where people should not be locked up for exercising their basic constitutional rights. I hope you'll join me in enforcing accountability to those fundamental ideas, and I look forward to your questions. I yield back.
Yep, we need to look into Trump again. Trump. Yet under the last administration, I will repeat myself, there was at least 1 million plus children that were trafficked across the border, raped, and used for child labor, free labor, used as slaves in today's society. And the Democrats said nothing about it. They still say nothing about it. Yet, because Trump's deporting people, and they never showed proof. That's the problem. These Democrats, they will just say this shit, saying he's just deporting, ripping families apart. They will never give any proof. There might be one mistake of someone who shouldn't have been taken back. When we have millions of criminals and illegals and pedophiles who are actually getting deported, which were the right people, and they will always use that one little mistake. Yet when it came to these millions of kids that just disappeared, they say nothing. But the one little mistake he might make, they jump on that, and it's the worst thing. And now he's just separating thousands of families. I hope you guys can see that these Democrats are frauds. They stand for nothing. They are for illegals first. This is the great replacement theory right in front of our eyes, where they flood the border gates and let millions of illegals in, give them free everything with your taxpayer funds, and then make them citizens so they can vote in elections. That's all it's about. There's nothing more behind that at all. So one of my favorite Republican representatives, Rep. Clay Higgins, has the attitude the rest of the GOP should have. So I'm excited to react to this with you guys. Let's get it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. governors, I guess thank you for being here today. This was staged to be it was bound to be, political conflict here. But I like to get pretty real with each of you. I know Governor Walsh pretty good. He and I came to be, believe it or not, America, Governor Walsh and I came to be quite friendly. I consider him a friend for many years. And it was fascinating that we disagreed on almost everything politically. I doubt there was a vote we had in common.
Like tampons.
But I'm pretty sure I can call Governor Walsh and get a straight answer. Even now, at least in private. But in a setting like this, it's difficult to get a straight answer because you're being viewed so closely. All of us are. So I'm going to try and be real with you. And Governor Pritzker, I don't know you. Governor Hochul, I don't know you. I can tell you that that you strike me as extremely political and rather arrogant, quite smug, good lady. And this is a serious topic, man. We have hundreds of thousands of Americans dead from fentanyl that came across our border. Our nation suffered generational trauma for 4 years from open border policies. And we listened in ad nauseum, speech after speech after speech about how Mayorkas, who struck me as equally smug in many horrific meetings, said we need more money, we need more laws. We never needed more money. We never needed more laws. We needed an executive branch that had the will to enforce the law and thus end the trauma that the American people were continually suffering at our southern border. Now, the impact of that policy remains, and sanctuary cities are a large part of this thing. Now, I don't know the life of you three, your background. I don't know if you've held the hand of a mother or father had to deliver to them the news that their child had been killed by a violent criminal. Prayed with that person, but I have. And the victims of crime commonly have a simple refrain. Why? Why? Why did this happen to my family? And I'm going to ask you, Governor Pritzker, and you, Governor Hochul, what do you say to those people when, have you ever had the courage to speak with one in person, in private, without cameras? And when they ask you why was this horrible person invited to Illinois or New York? Why do your sanctuary policies encourage, why did this guy that killed my daughter, why was he in my state? Why?
Also, they never visit the families of loved ones that these Americans have lost to fentanyl or illegals that kill their loved ones, ever. I see constant families on Fox or just on X who have lost loved ones to these drugs and these illegals, and they will always say one thing, the same. These Democrat politicians, the representative of their state, never reaches out, doesn't care, because it is a manufactured crisis. It's that simple.
Representative. Don't tell me it's limited resources.
Representative.
Don't tell me it's limited resources. I'll let you know when it's time for you to answer the question, madam.
Okay.
Don't tell me it's limited resources, because we're talking about the resource of righteousness and goodness. And God controls the bank of righteousness and goodness. And there's no limit to that withdrawal. Governor Pritzker, what do you tell a family when they ask you why? Why was this murderer in my state that came here across the border illegally and was encouraged to come to my state by your policies? Go.
You said invited or encouraged
50,000 people
invited
were
and encouraged by
50,000
sanctuary
people were
policy.
shipped to my
Yes,
state
yes, yes.
by a
Don't
border
beat
state
around the
governor.
bush. Own it, man.
I'm not beating
Own
around.
it.
I'm telling you, 50,000 people were shipped to my state by a
Would you ship
Republican
them back?
border state governor.
50,000 is a smidgen. We have 15 million cross the border.
I understand.
I'm glad they bust some to your state.
I have
taste
been
it.
clear.
Your sanctuary
about
policies and
Yeah, you guys have sanctuary policies, so you should open them with arms open. And then they just got the smallest little percent of these illegals. Could you imagine if they were like Texas, where the border was, where they were having all the illegals come in at once? They wouldn't even be able to function or manage their states.
favoring border
Governor
security.
Hochul,
There was a
I'll give
bill
you the
last
last
year
couple of
on that
seconds
very
here.
subject, sir.
On the
Governor
question of
Hochul.
what
And
I'd
you
say to
opposed
that
it.
family, I would say my heart is breaking for you. I'm a mother. When you describe the pain of a family like that, I've been there. I have held victims' families in my
That's a
arms.
good start.
And I'll tell you
Mr.
this,
Chairman,
here
my
to be a
time has
religious
expired. I
person,
yield.
but we are called.
Gentleman's time's expired. Chair recognizes Mr.
These Democrats have no heart. They are paid through the CCP and other NGOs in corrupt countries, and they just have no hearts. The fentanyl is created through China and shipped across these borders and these ports of entries, and these liberals don't care, and it kills like record amounts of Americans, and it's just getting worse by the year, and they don't give a shit. They lie and try to blame Trump. Well, guess what? Trump shut this shit down by 96% within 3 months without passing a bill. Just that alone you should never trust another Democrat, because they said you needed to pass legislation in order to shut the border down. Trump has done it without any legislation, which just shows you what type of person they are. Liars.
Do you think men should be allowed in women's restrooms?
I'm not sure why this has come to this issue.
You
It has
tweeted
nothing to
that
do
as
with
a
immigration.
protest against President Trump, everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today. Have you ever used the women's restroom?
Not that I can recall ever, sir. No.
You wanted everybody else to do it, but you didn't.
Sir, I'm not sure why we're on a topic that has nothing
I'm
to
asking
do
you.
with
You're
today's hearing.
advocating for men to use women's restrooms, but you didn't do it.
I do not advocate that. No.
Well, actually, you did. You said everyone should use the other gender's bathroom today.
I can tell you that you are
Do you regret
politicizing
saying
this
this?
in a way that what we ought to be focusing on is
Do you
the
regret
failure of the federal
encouraging men to
government
use women's restrooms?
and the Congress to deal with immigration reform.
Do you regret encouraging men to use women's restrooms?
Again, you're taking us on topics that have.
Did you ever
nothing to
consider
do
that
with
women don't
the
want you
subject
in their,
that you
in their
invited us here
bathrooms?
for?
Do you think
Even though it's irrelevant to what they're talking about, I think that is important, because let's be frank, the Democrat Party can't even identify what a woman is these days. It's a joke. They literally, Tampon Tim's up there. He's the first governor that put tampons in men's restrooms. It's a joke. It's a circus on the left. These people are not serious people. And the fact that people are still electing morons like these representatives just shows that it's just in this city.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Because I live in the state of California, and let me tell you, folks, the love for Trump here is insane compared to Democrats. You rarely see Democrat stickers, but I see Trump, MAGA, just red stickers supporting police and Republicans, 10-to-1 ratio. It is unbelievable. If we had one-day voting ID, I easily think the state of California would be red. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Tom Emmer eviscerated Tim Walz to his face. Let's see what he said to Tampon Tim.
In May 2020, looting, acts of violence, and arson occurred on your watch in Minneapolis after you refused to bring in the National Guard. Governor, your agenda is clear. Free healthcare, free college and driver's licenses for illegals while handcuffing law enforcement when they're trying to protect our citizens and their communities. If you think that's not a sanctuary state, you shouldn't be governor. By turning Minnesota into a magnet for illegals, you have opened up our communities to dangerous criminals, including known terrorists, gang members, murderers, and child predators. You have sent a resounding message that if you're a hardworking, law-abiding citizen of Minnesota, your safety and well-being are not the priorities of Tim Walz and his administration. But if you're coming to our state illegally, you're not only welcome with open arms, you're entitled to free stuff on the taxpayer's dime. This is absolutely disgraceful. Governor Walz, your sanctuary state voters made that clear last November when they elected President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance. You remember him, don't you? Governor, the time for real leaders is and real
Here,
leadership
here.
is now. And with that, sir, actually, Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to introduce into the record the governor's tweet that I referenced from May 23rd, 2018, which makes it clear his hatred for federal law enforcement. Thank you.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Mr.
Chair
Chairman.
recognizes Mr. Mfume.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I have.
Yeah, I mean, I already said at the beginning, him and his family worked with the BLM rioters and told them exactly where the police were going to be during the BLM riots. His state was the state that burnt to the ground. That was the world famous video picture of the city burning down. That was Tim Walz's state, and he did nothing about it. Instead, he worked in cahoots with the criminals. These liberals are just disgusting human beings, and they should be treated as such. It's disgusting, the shit they've allowed.
In your opening statement, the following: but nothing Minnesota has done stands in the way of federal government managing its border security policy.
Okay.
Governor, I want to ask you, why are you lying to this committee?
I am not
Who's the top
Congress-
law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota?
the top law enforcement officer, Attorney General.
Yeah, that's right. What's his name? What's his name?
Are you asking me, do you
Yep.
know his name?
You know his name. Do you know his name?
I know the AG Ellison.
This is an article right here I'd like to submit for the record. Minnesota AG says will not enforce federal immigration laws as DOJ threatens to prosecute officials who resist.
Without objection, so ordered.
Why are you lying to this committee? That is the top law enforcement officer in your state who's saying he will not comply with the federal government.
Nothing in his opinion changes the fact that state law requires all state and county officials to ask for immigration status when a convicted felon.
No, I'm sorry, Governor. He is saying he will not comply with federal laws. That's your top law
Nothing in this
enforcement
opinion
officer.
changes. how-
You're lying and misrepresenting yourself to this committee. Now I want to ask you this. Do you think in that line of questioning, free health care, food assistance, free college tuition, driver's licenses, and cash assistance, do you think that that's helping or hurting this government manage its border security and policy?
I'm going to answer that because it obviously hurts them. They are giving these illegals free everything: ID, welfare, insurance, monthly payments, EBT. With you, American people, your hardworking taxpayer dime. When I couldn't even qualify for EBT. Why the hell aren't the Americans, homeless veterans, getting these free housing or EBT? These illegals just hop over the border, break our federal laws, and just get free everything. That's what Tampon Tim stands for. So it's just ridiculous at this point. They've exposed their cards, and Americans aren't buying their BS anymore.
Well, Minnesota ranks first in healthcare. We rank third in safety
Let
on
me
our
answer
roads.
that for you. It's actually hurting because what you
Making my state
created
safer
is
and more
you've created a
prosperous.
state that is now a magnet that is
There's
drawing
no
the
law.
illegals
There's no sanctuary
to
law in
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Congress.
I know you guys haven't put it that way on the books, but your state has everything, every element in it that is consistent with the sanctuary state.
That's
Moving
incorrect.
on, Mr. Walsh. How about you calling ICE agents modern day Gestapo? That also stands. Do you think that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement?
I think best
border
practice in law
security
enforcement
policies?
by identifying who you are, identifying the vehicles, and making sure everyone has due process helps our law enforcement. I think covering your faces.
So you think that
rolling in there-
that helps calling our law enforcement agents that? What does ICE stand for, Governor? Immigration, custom, enforcement, right? These are the guys that are tasked with enforcing immigration, federal immigration
That's right.
laws.
Federal. That's their job. It's
So
not
you
the
think
state's
that
job.
calling them Gestapo is helping? You're not standing in the way. None of the messaging, none of the rhetoric is standing in the way of this administration doing what they've been tasked to do. Is that what you're saying?
I think what would help them is to follow due process, and when they do these missions, do the things that we expect of law enforcement.
How about when you
Identify
went
them.
on Anderson Cooper, Governor Walsh, and
Why would they identify themselves? They have orders. There's riots around them. They need to protect what they're wearing so they can't be doxxed and their kids can't be hurt or their families be tracked. You idiots on the left have been wearing masks up until this point for 6 years now. So because ICE has a job to do and they don't want their faces to be given away so you could dox their families, as it's happened already previously under liberals up until recently, now you want us to just show you want them to show their faces? No, that's not how it works. Sorry.
you said, how high is this wall? if it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in a 30-foot ladder factory. Do you think that that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement, its border security and policy operations?
When did I say that?
You went on Anderson Cooper and said that. You not remember saying that? Because you've said so many outlandish things that you can't even keep track of them.
The point being is
the clip is there for everybody. It's there for all Americans. If you guys want to go watch it, it's an easy Google.
I've reacted to
all
it.
Right, Governor, you recently went on Gavin Newsom's podcast. You stated in regards to MAGA voters, I scare them a little bit, which is why they spend so much time on me. No, I'm serious because they know I can fix a truck. That's your direct quote. You also said on the show, I think I could kick most of their asses. I want to be very clear with you, Governor.
Tim Walz is the biggest dork they've ever elected on the left, straight up. I thought Newsom, but Tim Walz takes that. Tampon Tim takes the crown.
You do scare us a bit, but it's not because you can fix a truck or change a tire. It's actually because of your radical left-wing agenda. You supported putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. You advocated for the disarming of Americans of their Second Amendment rights. You're pro-sanctuary city, as we have uncovered here today. You claim there is no guarantee to free speech when it comes to misinformation and hate speech. That right there is why the American people have such a hard time with you. It's not because we're crazy MAGA people. It's because of your radical left-wing agenda. I want to ask you on that last one where you claim there's no guarantee to free speech. Did you pick that up on one of your 30 trips to communist China, Governor? That sounds a lot like something that they would do. Yes or no?
So I don't believe hate speech has a place in there. Hate speech that incites violence.
Governor Walz, you said that Kamala Harris picked you for vice president to code talk to white guys. How did that work out for this administration? How well did you do with white guys?
I don't have the.
You lost by 22 points to white guys. And it's because you talk like the way you do, you say the things you do, and you have this radical left-wing ideology. So if you want to continue that rhetoric, go on, brother. Keep doing it.
Damn, that was the mic drop I've been waiting for. I'm actually reacting to this with you guys for the first time myself. Damn, Rep. Eli Crane demolished Tampon Tim. Yes, he was the first one that put tampons in boys' restrooms because the Democrats, I'll say it again, do not know what a woman and man is.
Stay in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th of this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would assume you'd know it's
laws.
Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part.
No, I'm asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No, it does not say that. I read what it says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are high-profile cases.
Yes.
New Yorkers know about them and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you.
You want to know why she doesn't know any of these illegals? Because they focus on Trump 24/7. The Trump derangement syndrome has messed up their brains to the point where all they do is obsess over Trump and fight him on anything, even if it is beneficial for the American people. This is just pathetic. Kathy Hochul shouldn't even be running a McDonald's, and she is literally the governor of New York. This is pathetic. New York, you need to do better.
He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific.
Because of your sanctuary state policies.
In all of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove
them. You did not in this case. They are walking on the
assistance.
Streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times. Now, Raymond Rojas Basilio, do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will explain to you the policies of New York. We cooperate with, I know you're just
You do not. Specifically, ICE was told not to detain this individual, and he burned a woman alive on the New York subways in Kathy Hochul's New York. So I will keep on going. What about Raymond Rojas Basilio? Do you know who that is?
I'm going to tell you our overall policy, which will address all this.
I'll tell you who that is. He is an illegal who molested an 11-year-old in our state. Because, again, of your sanctuary state policies. This illegal was shielded from federal immigration enforcement and able to commit this heinous crime. And what about Wilson Castillo Diaz? Do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. We do cooperate fully with ICE in criminal prosecution. Our sanctuary
You're not advocating for these victims.
Only deal
this
with
is a 5-year-old who was raped on Long Island in Nassau County. You are not advocating on behalf of these victims. You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement, you prioritize putting illegals first.
That is not
rapes
true.
Of young girls, beatings of NYPD cops by illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging support from hardworking New York
These are
families.
horrific crimes, and they're heartbreaking.
They're horrific crimes that are committed on your watch. You signed this executive order on your first day in office. You signed it again and again this January. We deserve a governor who stands up for law-abiding New Yorkers, doesn't put illegals first, but actually puts New Yorkers first. I appreciate
Rather than going after the viral moment, I suggest you look at the facts.
I'm standing up for New Yorkers.
No.
Rather than addressing the illegals in New York, you are prioritizing your far-left sanctuary state policies, which you put in place with executive orders.
These people just are scumbags. It's disgusting that they are still representatives. I really hope that there's a legal process that we can lock these people up for putting the needs of these illegals first over Americans. Like, it's just so sad to hear these stories and to see that these are the people that the Democrat politicians are defending on a daily basis. It is disgusting, and we shouldn't take it ever. Oh, I didn't see this one yet, but this just popped up. Rep. Lena Paulino, one of my favorites, supposedly just went off on Tim Walz, Tampon Tim. Let's see what she said to him today. I'm really excited about this one.
You a prime target for influence operations. I'm letting you know that now because I do believe that you should be made aware of, if you are not already, that you are working with and going to be speaking at an organization and rally that is just funded by Christy Walton, the heiress of Walmart, but also has ties to the Chinese Progressive Association, and largely funding it, that actually brags on their website that they are pro-Maoist. Also, too, funded by the National Endowment for Democracy. I know there's a lot of people on this committee that don't like billionaires interfering in politics, but say nothing when George Soros gets over $260 million from USAID through the last administration that's then funneled into some of these nonprofits and organizations. So I guess my question for you guys is, now that I've made you aware that these riots are not about illegals and they're not about immigrants, if they did, they would have been protesting under Barack Obama, who's also dubbed the deporter-in-chief. And frankly, I think many of you would say that Barack Obama was a good president. Are you going to say that Barack Obama wasn't a good president? Yes or no, Governor Walz? Do you think he was a good president?
Do I think Barack Obama was a good
Correct.
president? I think he did a good job.
Okay, how about you, Governor Pritzker?
I think he did a good job.
Ho-
Yes.
Hochul?
Hochul, and yes, he did do a good job.
Okay, next. Perryman?
I think President Obama did a good job.
So then
Obama did a terrible job. Obama created and funded ISIS with our taxpayer funds. Disgusting human being. He also brought in the whole pride gay movement to the forefront. He's also married to a dude named Mike Obama. Not really Michelle. We call him Big Mike. Obama is a terrible human being, and I hope he meets his day soon.
then you would understand that Barack Obama had the very same policies for the most part on immigration that Republicans are parroting today. And yet you guys are sitting here saying that we're Gestapo. And what I would tell you is that what happens with open borders is that the real people that are coming here, the ones that are exploited, actually it hurts people on both sides, not just Americans, but the illegals. Some of you had said here to the actual committee that you are doing what you can to assist these people. But what I would say is that your policies aren't actually done from a place of understanding and sympathy. I would say that it's actually doing the exact opposite. And when you use brown people, just like they use black people with BLM and Marxists during BLM to usher that in, when you use brown people and you put Mexican flags with them saying that you stand up for illegal immigrants, but you follow the money and it's going back to the Communist Party, what you're essentially doing is using your platform as elected officials, the trust that the American people have put in you, essentially to usher in communism. You're not actually fighting for American values. Don't roll your eyes because it's a serious topic and that's where the money's coming from. So now I'm informing you. So now you guys can make your decisions, but please be informed, sir, Mr. Walls, that if you truly do uphold the American ideologies and perspectives on the Constitution, you should not be speaking at that rally. I've given you the correct information. And as of right now, I've authorized a letter to be sent to my office to the President of the United States to rescind millions of dollars in funding that we know are going to the No Kings protests that were authorized and basically given under the last administration. That is what Congress is supposed to do, not point fingers, not blame people, but actually ensure that the American people are protected and not fighting for foreign interests, foreign governments, and also the communist.
Will the gentlelady yield for a question?
Yes, I love that. The nokings.org. I suggest all of you go to nokings.org. It's coming to a city near you this Saturday. I suggest everyone stay inside. Try not to leave your houses because that is a deep state plan and they expect people to come out. And if you react, you're going to get arrested. I really think it's staged and I think it's going to be a very dangerous country event. It's going to be in every state, it seems like, throughout the country. And there's going to be mass riots. They call them peaceful protests, but as we see what's happening in LA, they're far from peaceful. I would suggest to stay in your house on Saturday unless you are a YouTuber or a podcaster and you want some great content. Just make sure you wear a mask or you don't show your face, because if they know who you are or that you're a Trump supporter, they will probably attack you. There's one more I wanted to react to, and it is Nancy Mace, another one of my favorite representatives. And seems like it shows the question right in the picture, which we all know the Democrats do not even know what a woman is.
What is a woman? What is a woman is the question.
I'm not sure I understand the question here.
She said, what is a woman? I don't understand what the question is. It's what is a woman, you dummy?
That.
What do you want me to say? This is
I want you to say that a woman like me is an adult human female, that men can't become women. You guys are the party of violence and you're the party erasing women. You don't respect us. You're a bigot. You're a misogynist. You're a sexist. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mic drop. Yeah, the party that says we're misogynists and bigots are literally taking away women's rights by replacing them with dudes who are too shitty to compete against other dudes, so they compete against females. I will never understand that. These woke, dumb feminists, they say they're for women's rights, yet they allow biological men to compete with women. Pretty much taking away women's rights. What did the old school, actual, real feminists defend and fight for if you're just letting dudes who suck at their sports against other dudes pretend to be women and compete with women, and then take their championships away, take their scholarships away, injure them in the sports? It's disgusting. And that's the Democrat Party today for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day. Peace. Bang. Actually got